By sunrise, the most famous painting in Britain had vanished from behind bulletproof glass. The painting was called The Girl in the Blue Room, a 19th-century masterpiece by Elias Venn, worth more than most private islands. It had hung in the Ashbourne Gallery for 87 years, watched by guards, cameras, lasers, motion sensors, and thousands of tourists who whispered in front of it as if they were standing before a saint. At 6:04 a.m., cleaner Rosa Bell found the gallery's East Hall silent, cold, and wrong. The frame was still there. The painting was gone. In its place, pinned neatly to the velvet backing, was a white card. On it, written in dark blue ink, were 7 words. The first lie is always in the frame. Detective Clara Voss arrived 32 minutes later. She hated art thefts. Not because they were difficult, but because everyone involved acted as if murder would have been less inconvenient. Curators wept. Trustees panicked. Rich donors made phone calls. Journalists gathered outside like crows. The gallery director, Malcolm Reeve, met her in the East Hall with a face as grey as the marble floor. "This is impossible," he said. "That word gets used a lot around expensive crimes," Clara replied. She stepped closer to the empty frame. It was enormous, gilded, and untouched. The security glass had not been broken. The alarm had not triggered. The cameras had recorded nothing unusual. According to the gallery system, the girl in the blue room had remained exactly where it belonged all night. Except it had not. Clara studied the clue again. The first lie is always in the frame. "Who knew the painting was being moved?" she asked. Malcolm blinked. It wasn't being moved. Then who knew the security system? Senior staff. Conservation. The night guards. A few trustees. A few. He hesitated. Clara smiled thinly. That usually means too many. The painting showed a young woman sitting beside a blue-curtained window, one hand resting on a locked jewelry box. Art historians had argued about the jewelry box for a century. Some believed it symbolized innocence. Others believed it represented grief. The gallery gift shop sold magnets of it for £4.99. Clara looked at the empty backing again. "Has the frame ever been examined?" Malcolm frowned. "The frame. The clue mentions it. The frame is original. Venn chose it himself." "That wasn't my question." Malcolm swallowed. "Not recently." In the security office, Clara watched the footage from midnight to 6. Nothing. Guards walked their routes. Lights dimmed. No shadows crossed the East Hall. No masked thief descended from the ceiling. No dramatic escape. Then she noticed something. At 3:17 a.m., the camera watching the painting flickered for less than 1 second. "Pause," she said. The technician froze the image. For that single frame, the girl in the blue room looked different. The woman's face was turned. Clara leaned forward. "That's not possible," the technician whispered. "No," Clara said. "It's not." She asked for the previous day's footage. Then the week before. Then the month before. Each time, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the same flicker appeared. One frame. One impossible change. The girl looked away from the window and stared directly at the camera. Malcolm Reeve insisted it was a digital error. Clara did not believe in digital errors that understood portraiture. She ordered the frame removed from the wall. The curator nearly fainted. Behind the frame, hidden in the plaster, they found a narrow metal tube. Inside was a rolled strip of canvas so old it cracked when the conservator opened it. It was not the stolen painting. It was a painted eye. A woman's eye. Blue, bright, and unmistakably from the girl in the blue room. Beneath it, in the same dark blue ink as the clue, someone had written, "She was never looking out." By noon, the theft had become national news. By 1, 3 experts had declared the clue meaningless. By 2, Clara knew they were wrong. She visited the gallery archives beneath the building, where the air smelled of dust, leather, and secrets. An elderly archivist named Mr. Fenn let her in without argument. He looked almost relieved. "I wondered when someone would come," he said. Clara turned. For the painting. For the truth. He led her to a storage table and opened a folder marked Venn, Elias, private correspondence. Inside were letters between Elias Venn and the first owner of the painting, Lord Ashbourne. Clara read them slowly. At first, they were ordinary. Payment. Delivery dates. Framing instructions. Then the tone changed. Venn became angry. You asked me to paint her as memory, but you wanted her as possession. Another letter. I will not alter the eyes. She saw what you did. And the final letter, dated 2 weeks before Venn's death. Hang it if you must. But one day, someone will understand where she is looking. Clara looked up. Who was the girl? Mr. Fenn nodded, as if she had finally asked the right question. Her name was Livia Hart. She was a maid in Lord Ashbourne's house. She disappeared in 1869. And Venn painted her. After she vanished. Why? Because he loved her. The room seemed to tighten. Clara returned to the East Hall and stood before the empty frame. She imagined the painting from memory. The girl by the window. The locked jewelry box. The blue curtain. The quiet face. She was never looking out. Then where was she looking? Clara pulled up a high-resolution image of the painting on her phone. She zoomed in on the girl's pupils. Tiny reflections glimmered there. For decades, everyone had assumed they reflected the window. But they did not. They reflected a man. A man standing inside the room. Behind the viewer. Clara's pulse quickened. The first lie is always in the frame, she murmured. She turned to the frame itself. Huge. Gold. Ornate. Too heavy. Too elaborate. Bring me the conservation records, she said. Malcolm objected. She ignored him. The records showed the painting had been cleaned in 1924, 1958, and 2001. But the frame had never been opened. Never dismantled. Never X-rayed. Clara ordered it scanned. This time, Malcolm shouted. You have no authority to damage gallery property. Clara looked at him. Someone stole a painting worth £70 million. I have authority to sneeze on your marble if it helps. The scan revealed a hidden compartment inside the bottom rail of the frame. Inside was a small bundle wrapped in oilcloth. Not the painting. A diary. Livia Hart's diary. The final pages told the story Venn had tried to preserve. Lord Ashbourne had become obsessed with Livia. When she rejected him, he locked her in the blue room for 3 days. She wrote that she heard him outside the door. She wrote that the window had been painted shut. She wrote that if she died, she wanted someone to know she had not run away. The last line read, He keeps the key in the jewelry box. Clara understood then. The painting had never been just a portrait. It was testimony. The jewelry box was not symbolic. It was evidence. But where was the painting now? That evening, a second clue arrived. It came by courier, addressed to Clara Voss. Inside was a small blue key and another card. Ask the man who profits from silence. Clara looked across the gallery lobby at Malcolm Reeve. The director stood beneath the television screens, telling reporters the gallery would cooperate fully with police. His expression was tragic, polished, perfect. Clara checked the gallery's financial records. The Ashbourne Gallery was failing. Visitor numbers were down. Donors had withdrawn. The trustees had quietly discussed selling assets, but the girl in the blue room could not legally be sold. Lord Ashbourne's descendants had donated it under strict conditions. It had to remain on public display forever. Unless it was stolen. An insurance policy worth £80 million had been updated 6 weeks earlier. Signed by Malcolm Reeve. But Malcolm had not stolen the painting. He had planned to. Someone else got there first. Clara confronted him in his office at 9:40 p.m. You discovered the diary, she said. Malcolm's face twitched. You opened the frame during a private inspection. Found Livia's diary. Realized the painting accused the Ashbourne family of murder. That kind of scandal would destroy the trustees. That is absurd. So you arranged a theft. Insurance pays out. Painting disappears. Diary disappears. Everyone profits from silence. He said nothing. But someone knew what you were planning, Clara continued. Someone stole it before your thief arrived. Malcolm's eyes flickered toward the window. Clara followed his gaze. Across the street, on the roof of the old Royal Theatre, a blue light flashed once. Then vanished. By midnight, Clara stood inside the abandoned theatre with 2 officers and a torch. The stage curtains hung in rotting folds. Dust covered the seats. The air smelled of rain and old velvet. At the center of the stage stood an easel. On it was the girl in the blue room. Untouched. Beautiful. Waiting. Beside it stood Rosabelle, the cleaner who had found the empty frame. She did not run. My grandmother was Livia Hart's great niece, Rosa said. My family knew pieces of the story, but never enough to prove it. Then I saw Mr. Reeve opening the frame after hours. You stole it. I rescued it. You left the clues. Then left the first ones. I only made sure someone finally read them. Clara stepped closer to the painting. The girl's calm face seemed different now. Not sad. Not passive. Accusing. You understand I have to arrest you, Clara said. Rosa nodded. But now they'll know why. The next morning, Malcolm Reeve was arrested for conspiracy to commit fraud, obstruction, and attempted destruction of historical evidence. The Ashbourne trustees tried to suppress the diary. They failed. The story of Livia Hart spread across the world. The gallery reopened 1 month later with the girl in the blue room restored to its place, but the label beneath it had changed. It no longer spoke only of brushwork, symbolism, or the genius of Elias Venn. It told the truth. On opening day, Clara stood in the crowd and watched people look at the painting properly for the first time. Not at the blue curtain. Not at the jewelry box. At the reflection in the girl's eyes. Rosabelle served 6 months for theft and became famous before she was released. Some called her a criminal. Others called her a historian. Clara thought both were true. A year later, on the anniversary of the theft, a small white card appeared beneath the painting. Security panicked. The card was tested, photographed, and handed to Clara. This time, the message was written in dark blue ink. Some paintings are not stolen. Some are finally returned.